Remember a few years ago, Brian, when wheat was that crop that you planted and then you harvested, and that was pretty much it.
Wasn't
low
it
easy?
Input crop.
Yeah, it was so easy when we were growing up. We just put wheat out there and that was it.
But what were the yields?
Oh, not good.
Here's the whole thing. In agriculture today, you have unbelievable opportunity to make money. I mean, commodity prices are great. And sure, some inputs cost some money. But you know what? In terms of ag chemicals, the average ag chemical price this year in 2011 came down from 2010. You have a tremendous chance to make money on your farm. But the most important thing you need to focus on if you're seeding your wheat this spring and you don't have tramlines is getting some tramlines. Because you can't go back out later and spray herbicide or fungicide or insecticide or stream bar your nitrogen. If you don't have tramlines, you're going to ding your wheat up or you're going to have to call a plane in. So we wanted to talk today about tramlines and the importance in wheat.
One other comment there, Brian. You talk about farmers' ability to make money in wheat and raise higher yields. I think the other side of that too is think about it from this standpoint and look at the world and how many people need food, how many people are hungry, how many people are starving. We have the ability to raise better yields than what we're doing right now. That's the challenge the American farmer has had from day one, and it's a challenge we continue to meet with higher and higher yields. Tramlines are one of the ways because it lets you into that field easier throughout the rest of the season.
Well, with a tramline system, this can be set up on a drill or an air seed or however you're putting wheat into the ground. And basically what happens is this can either be done electronically or manually. When you get to the area where you need to have your tramline set for your sprayer, it diverts the seed that would have gone to those rows into the rows right next to the tramline. And you think about it for a second, you say, well, I'm basically double seeding then in those rows right there. Yep, you are. But don't get too worried about that because when we've got a lot of seed there, it's going to make that wheat grow just a little bit taller. When the wheat grows a little taller, it shades that tramline out a little better. You get a little bit better weed control overall in that tramline. But it's so important to have these tramlines because otherwise, one of two things is either going to happen. Either you're going to lose some yield when you go out to spray, or you're going to say, well, I don't want to do that at all, so I'm either not spraying or I'm going to hire a plane. Either way, it costs you money. It costs you a lot of money in many cases. You look at the high-intensive wheat management guys around the country and really around the world. They're going in multiple times in the field, and every time they go out there, they're not just doing it for fun. They're doing it because every trip over the field makes them money.
Let's talk about specifically what you're going to use these tramlines for. And in most cases, the first time we're going back out into the field and using the tramlines, it's to spray fungicide. We've got early season disease pressure in wheat on our farm, and we're in a 3-crop rotation. What about the guys that are continuous wheat? Imagine what that disease pressure is out there. It starts very early in the season because a lot of those diseases survive on last year's plant residue. Even if you're doing full-scale tillage, there's a little bit of that residue on the surface. When you get cool and moist conditions like we often have in the spring, that disease blows up fast. So you need to be able to get right back out there and get that fungicide applied. It makes you big-time money, especially in our part of the world.
What a lot of farmers are doing is going with a half rate of fungicide early, then they might be using a full rate of fungicide at flag leaf timing, and then using fungicide again at heading. Now, if you're in the camp where you say, well, boy, I just can't afford that heading spray, you know what? A full rate of Folicure used to cost $15 an acre. Now it costs $2. It costs $2 an acre. Full rate Prosaro or Caramba, you're talking $10 an acre or less now. That cost $15 just last year. These fungicides have come way down in price. If you haven't looked at the economics of this thing, you need to take a look at it. When wheat is the price that it is and the fungicide is that inexpensive, you're going to have some good returns on your farm, but you got to be able to get back out there and spray.
The other thing is there's a lot of misinformation about fungicides. Guys say, well, 3 times, wow, that seems excessive. I'll just use one that has more residual because I heard this ad or I heard from this salesperson that, wow, this product has great residual. Don't believe it when it comes to fungicides. Now, they do have a little bit of residual on the leaf they are sprayed on. But when you're spraying early season wheat, you've only got a few leaves out there. Now it's going to continue growing and putting new leaves out above that. Those leaves are unprotected. So you protect only the leaves that you spray, and your protection is going to last just a couple of weeks, depending on what kind of weather conditions you have and everything else. But you have to go out and protect that new foliage as it comes when it comes to wheat.
As far as stream barring nitrogen late, that's another big thing. We do it on our farm too. If you're going to add protein to your wheat, stream barring nitrogen, having nitrogen out late in the season is good for that. Plus the fact that then we can split apply our nitrogen, so we're not putting it all on early. We just don't want to lose our nitrogen, especially as expensive as it is.
Now, with some of these passes, you could potentially put them together. Like say you're out controlling weeds, but you also need to spray for disease. Well, you could combine a herbicide and fungicide application. But there are other things that you need to keep apart. Like when we're talking about broadleaf weeds versus grass weeds, we really need to be making two different applications out there, especially if you have some tough grasses like wild oats. We have antagonism between those products, and the grass killers don't work as well. And in wheat, that is just a huge yield robber. So if you're spraying your broadleaf and your grass herbicide together, if you've got 3 weeds in the whole field, it's no big deal. But if you have some significant weed pressure, even moderate weed pressure, it's going to pay you to make 2 applications, and that's why you have Tramlines, so it's very easy to do.
Yeah, well, once again, Tramlines are very important. If you're raising wheat, you need them on your farm. Make sure you have them. They'll even help you control our Weed of the Week. We'll tell you what it is coming up next.